I was a cybersecurity specialist before I became a mom. Not the kind you see in movies, breaking into government systems with dramatic music playing. The real kind. The kind that spent 12-hour days analyzing data breaches, tracking digital footprints, and testifying in fraud cases. I worked for a fintech company in Seattle, made 6 figures, and was damn good at what I did. Then I had twins. Jake and Mason arrived 8 weeks early, tiny and perfect and terrifying. Jake spent his first month in the NICU, and somewhere between the beeping monitors and sleepless nights, my husband David and I made a decision. One of us would stay home. His real estate development company was taking off. Mine was understanding, but not that understanding. The math made sense. What I didn't know was that the moment I became just a mom, I became invisible to my husband. 10 years, that's how long I gave him. 10 years of school drop-offs and therapy appointments and meal planning and keeping our home running like a well-oiled machine. 10 years of being the one who remembered everything, managed everything, sacrificed everything. David's company went from 3 employees to 40. Our house went from a modest Capitol Hill townhouse to a custom-built home in Medina with a view of Lake Washington. His suits got more expensive. His dinners got later. His attention got scarcer. I told myself it was normal. Growing businesses demand time. Successful men are busy. I had the boys. I had my life. I was fine. I wasn't fine. Jake was diagnosed with autism when he was 3. High functioning, they said, as if that made it easier. It didn't. It meant he needed occupational therapy, speech therapy, social skills groups. It meant structure with a capital S. It meant $800 a month in therapy costs that our insurance barely touched. It meant one parent needed to be available, flexible, present. I was that parent. David was the parent who said things like, "When will he be normal? And maybe if you didn't baby him so much, and do we really need to spend this much on therapy?" But he still paid for it. That's what I told myself. He complained, but he paid. Until he didn't. It was a Tuesday in January when David came home early. I was helping Mason with homework while Jake did his sensory exercises in the living room. David walked past them without a word, poured himself a scotch, and said, "We need to talk." I knew. Women always know. There's a particular tone men use when they're about to blow up your life. Flat, detached, like they've already left and they're just informing you of a decision that's already been made. "I want a divorce," he said. I put down Mason's math worksheet. Okay, that threw him. He'd probably expected tears, begging, drama. Instead, I was calculating, mentally reviewing our assets, our accounts, our legal position. "I'm keeping the house," he continued. His name was on the deed. We'd bought it 4 years ago with his business profits. Technically, legally, it was his. "You can take the Subaru. I'll give you a year to find a place." "What about the boys?" My voice was steady. "You can have them." He said it like he was being generous, like our children were furniture he didn't need. "I'll pay child support, whatever the court says. But I'm done with this." "With what?" "With this." He gestured vaguely at our home, our life, our children. "I'm 42 years old, Sarah. I didn't work this hard to come home to chaos and therapy appointments and a wife who's let herself go." I looked down at my yoga pants, my ponytail, my bare face. I was 39 and looked it. I was tired and busy and hadn't prioritized myself in years. Guilty as charged. "There's someone else," he said. Didn't ask, just stated it as fact. "Jessica." From marketing, he didn't even have the grace to look ashamed. "She gets it. She gets me. She doesn't need me to fix everything or pay for everything or explain everything." Jessica Hartley. 28, blonde, exactly the type of woman men like David traded up for. I'd met her at a company holiday party 2 years ago. She'd been perfectly nice, perfectly bland. "When do you want me out?" I asked. "End of February. That gives you 6 weeks. He finished his scotch and went upstairs. I heard the shower running, washing me off probably, washing away 10 years and 2 children and a life we'd built together. I sat very still for a long moment. Then I walked to the kitchen, pulled out my laptop, and did what I should have done months ago. I started documenting everything. Here's what people don't understand about cybersecurity. It's not just about protecting systems. It's about understanding how people think, how they behave, how they leave traces. Everyone has a digital footprint. Everyone makes mistakes. David was sloppy. He'd gotten comfortable, arrogant. He thought I was technically illiterate because I hadn't worked in 8 years. He'd forgotten that I used to teach courses on digital forensics. He'd forgotten that I maintained certifications, took online courses, kept my skills sharp. You don't stop being a specialist just because you're changing diapers instead of changing passwords. That night, after David went to bed, I set up a virtual machine on my laptop. Clean, isolated, undetectable. Then I went hunting. David used the same password for everything. He always had. It was a combination of his birthday and our wedding anniversary. Romantic, in a pathetically stupid way. Within an hour, I had access to his email, his cloud storage, his banking apps. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't, because what I found was so much worse than an affair. David had been bleeding money for 2 years. Bad investments, failed developments, projects that went over budget. His company wasn't thriving, it was dying. And he'd been hiding it by moving money around, creating fake invoices, billing clients for work that was never done. He'd opened accounts in different names, set up LLCs that existed only on paper, moved funds offshore through a series of cryptocurrency transfers. He was committing fraud, serious, federal, go-to-prison fraud. And he was planning to leave me with nothing while he built a new life with Jessica on money he'd stolen. I spent 3 nights barely sleeping, creating a digital map of his deception. I recovered deleted emails where he bragged to friends about that bitch not getting a dime. I found text messages where he told Jessica I was abusive and unstable and keeping him from his happiness. I found contracts he'd forged, invoices he'd falsified, tax returns that bore no resemblance to reality. I found everything. On the 4th night, I was sitting in the dark with my laptop when Jake shuffled into the kitchen. He was wearing his weighted sleep suit, his tablet clutched to his chest. "Can't sleep, buddy?" I asked. He climbed into my lap. He was getting too big for this, all elbows and legs, but I held him anyway. "Daddy's mad," he said. "Daddy's stressed about work. Daddy says I'm expensive." My heart stopped. When did he say that? Yesterday. I heard him on the phone. He said me and Mason are too expensive and maybe we should go to a special school where they fix kids like me. I closed my laptop very carefully. "Jake, baby, look at me." He did, his dark eyes serious behind his glasses. "You are not broken. You are not too expensive. You are perfect exactly as you are. Do you understand?" He nodded, but I could see he didn't believe me. How could he? He was 8 years old and his father had called him defective. That's when I stopped feeling guilty. That's when I went from hurt to furious. That's when I decided David wasn't just losing this marriage, he was losing everything. The next day, I did something I probably shouldn't have. I emailed Jessica. "Hi, Jessica. This is Sarah Martinez, David's wife. Before you get alarmed, I'm not reaching out to yell at you or threaten you. I think you and I need to have a conversation, woman to woman. David has told you things about me, and I have information you deserve to know about him." "Coffee?" She didn't respond for 2 days. Then, Mud Bay Coffee, Capitol Hill, 2 p.m. Thursday. I'll be there. I almost didn't go. What was I expecting? A tearful confession? An alliance? She was the other woman. She'd been sleeping with my husband for God knows how long. Why would she help me? But I went. Jessica was already there when I arrived, nursing a latte at a corner table. Up close, she looked young. Not just 28 young, but uncertain young. Her confidence from the holiday party was gone. "Thank you for coming," I said, sitting down. "I probably shouldn't be here." Her hands were shaking around her cup. "David would kill me if he knew." "What did David tell you about me?" She looked away. "That you were separated. That the marriage had been over for years. That you were staying together for the kids but sleeping in separate rooms. That you were, emotionally abusive, and he was trying to leave safely." I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo from 2 months ago, David and me at Mason's school play, his arm around me, both of us smiling. "We weren't separated," I said quietly. "We were sleeping in the same bed until he asked for a divorce 3 weeks ago, and I've never been abusive. I've been a stay-at-home mom trying to keep everything together while he worked late. Which, I'm guessing, was often with you." Jessica's face crumbled. Oh my God, there's more. I pulled up another photo. This is Jake, one of our twins. He has autism. He needs occupational therapy 3 times a week. David told him last week that he's too expensive and should go to an institution. No. She was crying now. No, David said, he didn't have kids. He said he'd always wanted them, but you didn't. He said that was one of the things wrong with the marriage. I let that sink in for a moment. The sheer audacity of it. David had erased his own children from his narrative. Jessica, I need to show you something else. But first I need to know, did David tell you he was divorced? Yes. He said it was finalized last year. I showed her our joint bank statement. We're still married. And Jessica, I'm not trying to hurt you, but you need to know, David's company is in serious financial trouble. He's been committing fraud, moving money around, fake invoices, offshore accounts. I found all of it. Her face went white. His company is doing great. He just closed a major deal in Bellevue. He showed me the contract. Can I see it? She pulled it up on her phone. I recognized it immediately. It was one of the fake contracts I'd found in his cloud storage. The property didn't exist. The client wasn't real. This is fake, I said gently. I'm sorry. She stared at the screen for a long moment. Then she started crying in earnest. I loved him. I thought we were going to get married. He said once the divorce was final, we'd start our life together. I've been helping him with the company books. Oh my God, have I been helping him commit fraud? Probably not knowingly. But Jessica, I need your help. I need documentation from inside the company. Emails, contracts, financial statements, anything you can get me. Why are you being nice to me? She asked. I slept with your husband. Because you didn't know he was my husband. And because he's using both of us. And because I think, deep down, you're a decent person who got manipulated by a very skilled liar. She wiped her eyes. What are you going to do? I'm going to make sure he doesn't get away with it. Any of it. The fraud, the lying, the cruelty to our kids. I'm going to make sure he faces consequences. I'll help you, she said. I have access to the company servers. I can get you everything. Over the next 3 weeks, Jessica became an unexpected ally. She downloaded years of company emails, contracts, financial statements. She recorded a phone conversation where David bragged about hiding assets. She wrote a detailed statement about their affair, including dates, gifts purchased with company money, trips disguised as business expenses. Meanwhile, I kept working. I set up a keystroke logger on our home computer and captured David's passwords for accounts I hadn't found yet. I created forensic images of his phone and laptop. I tracked his cryptocurrency transfers through multiple exchanges and wallets. I built a timeline of every fraudulent transaction over 3 years. I also hired a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, the best divorce attorney in Seattle, a woman named Patricia Chen who had a reputation for destroying unfaithful spouses in court. This is impressive work, Patricia said, reviewing my documentation in her office. You did this yourself? I used to be a cybersecurity specialist. You're going to make an excellent witness. How much do you think he's hidden? Conservatively, $2 million. Maybe more. She smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Let's go get your money back. The divorce moved slowly. David thought he was in control. His lawyer, some hotshot from a downtown firm, was confident. They offered me a pittance, $50,000 in the Subaru in exchange for giving up all claims to marital property. It's a generous offer, David's lawyer said at mediation. Miss Martinez hasn't worked in 8 years. She has no recent income, no job prospects. My client has been the sole provider. We'll pass, Patricia said sweetly. See you in court. David was furious. He called me that night, his voice tight with anger. You're being unreasonable, Sarah. You have no case. The house is mine. The business is mine. You're going to walk away with nothing. We'll see, I said, and hung up. The court date was set for October. I spent the summer preparing, documenting, building my case. Jake started a new social skills group and began making friends. Mason made the soccer team. I took an online course in advanced digital forensics and scored in the top percentile. I was remembering who I was before I became someone's wife, someone's mother. I was remembering Sarah Chen. and she was formidable. The hearing was in a surprisingly small courtroom in King County. David looked confident. Expensive suit, expensive lawyer, expensive watch. Jessica was there too, sitting in the back. She'd been subpoenaed as a witness. David's lawyer went first. He painted a picture of a devoted father and businessman, a man who'd supported his family while his wife stayed home, a man who was being reasonable, offering fair settlement, trying to move on with his life. Then it was our turn. Patricia stood up and dropped a USB drive on the table. Your Honor, we have 3 years of financial documentation showing systematic fraud, tax evasion, and asset concealment. We have digital forensic analysis performed by my client, who holds advanced certifications in cybersecurity, and we have a witness who can testify to my client's husband's pattern of deception. David's lawyer's face changed. Your Honor, we weren't made aware of any such evidence. We disclosed 2 weeks ago, Patricia said. Perhaps your client forgot to mention it. The judge looked at David. Mr. Martinez? David was pale. I don't know what she's talking about. Patricia pulled up the first document on the courtroom screen. It was an email from David to a business partner, dated 3 months ago. That bitch won't know what hit her, it read. She thinks she's getting half? She'll be lucky if I give her bus fare. Everything's offshore. The house is in my name. She can't touch any of it. By the time the divorce is final, I'll be set up with Jessica and she'll be in some shitty apartment with those broken kids. The judge's face hardened. Continue, Miss Chen. We presented everything. The offshore accounts, the fake invoices, the tax evasion, the money he'd moved into cryptocurrency, the business partners he'd defrauded, the clients he'd billed for non-existent work. And then Jessica testified. She was nervous, her voice shaking, but she told the truth. About the affair, about David telling her he was divorced, about the company documents she'd provided showing systematic fraud, about the conversation where David had said he was dumping the dead weight and starting fresh. David's lawyer tried to object, tried to argue, but it was over. You could see it in his face. He leaned over to whisper to David, and whatever he said made David go even paler. Your Honor, the lawyer said, standing abruptly, I need to request a recess to speak with my client privately. Denied, the judge said. I've heard enough. Mr. Martinez, I'm ordering a forensic audit of all your business accounts. I'm also freezing all assets pending the outcome of this divorce. And I'm forwarding this evidence to the IRS and the FBI for investigation. David made a sound like he'd been punched. As for the divorce settlement, the judge continued, I'm awarding Miss Martinez full custody of the minor children, the family home, 70% of all liquid assets, $5,000 per month in child support, and $3,000 per month in spousal support for 5 years. I'm also ordering Mr. Martinez to maintain the children's health insurance and cover all therapy costs. Your Honor, David's lawyer tried. Sit down, the judge said. Your client committed fraud, concealed assets, and attempted to defraud this court. He's lucky I'm not holding him in contempt. Miss Martinez, do you have anything to add? I stood up. My legs were shaking, but my voice was steady. Just one thing, Your Honor. I want to make sure Jake and Mason are protected. Their father removed Jake from his medical insurance last month. I need that reinstated immediately. The judge looked at David with pure disgust. Your son has a disability, and you removed his insurance? David said nothing. Insurance reinstated immediately. This hearing is adjourned. Mr. Martinez, don't leave the state. We walked out of that courthouse into October sunshine. Patricia was grinning. That's the fastest I've ever seen someone destroy themselves. Jessica was waiting outside. I'm sorry, she said, for everything. You helped, I told her. Thank you. What are you going to do now? I'm going to go home to my kids. And then I'm going to figure out what comes next. What came next was messy. David's business partners sued him. His bankruptcy filing took months. The IRS opened an investigation that was still ongoing a year later. He moved in with his parents in Tacoma and fought every child support payment. His supervised visits with the boys lasted 3 months before he stopped showing up. Where's Daddy? Mason asked one Saturday when David didn't come. Daddy's on a journey, I said. And it's not our journey. We're on ours. And we were. I went back to work part-time, consulting for a cybersecurity firm that let me work remotely. Jake's therapy continued, and he started thriving in ways I hadn't imagined possible. He made the robotics team at school. Mason kept playing soccer. We stayed in the house with the lake view, and slowly it started feeling like ours instead of something we'd borrowed from David's life. Jessica reached out every few months. She'd left David's company and found a job at a marketing agency. She was dating someone new, someone honest. "I'm glad I helped you," she said over coffee one day. "I'm glad I didn't just walk away." "Me too," I said. The best part came 14 months after the divorce was finalized. I got an email from the FBI field office in Seattle. They'd seen my forensic work on David's case. They wanted to know if I'd be interested in consulting on cybercrime cases. I said yes. These days, I work from home 3 days a week, analyzing digital evidence for federal cases. The boys are 10 now. Jake still has therapy twice a week, but he's confident, happy, surrounded by friends who think his special interests are cool. Mason wants to be a professional soccer player. They ask about David sometimes, less and less as time goes on. "Do you miss Daddy?" Jake asked me last month. I thought about it honestly. I miss who I thought he was, but I don't miss who he really was. "I don't miss him either," Jake said. "Is that bad?" "No, sweetheart. That's honest. People ask me sometimes if I'm angry, if I hate David for what he did. The truth is, I don't think about him enough to hate him. He made his choices. He thought he was clever, thought he was getting away with something, thought he could discard his family like they were worthless. He was wrong. Not because I destroyed him, he did that himself, but because he underestimated a woman who had put her life on pause, not given it away. He forgot that skills don't disappear just because you're not using them professionally. He forgot that stay-at-home moms are still people, still intelligent, still capable of anything they set their minds to. He forgot that I was Sarah Chen before I was Sarah Martinez, and Sarah Chen doesn't lose. I don't tell my story as a revenge fantasy. I tell it because there are women out there right now, reading this, who feel trapped, who've given up careers for families, who are being told they're worthless because they haven't earned a paycheck in years, who are watching their husbands change and wondering if they're imagining it. You're not imagining it. Document everything. Trust your instincts. Remember your worth. And never, ever let someone convince you that taking care of your family makes you less than. Because the skills you had before, they're still there. And when you need them, they'll be ready. Just like I was.